Urban Spook is an analog horror series that's gotten a lot of attention lately, and it's mostly negative, usually being regarded as what you should not do with analog horror. The story of Urban Spook is about an unidentified killer who's gruesomely leaving behind victims, usually mutilated and having their pretty little faces skinned like a potato. Oh, gummy skin! The killer leaves behind paintings of said victims, but so far into the story, the motive and the identity has not been known. Essentially, a simplification of it is that it's a dark, gory, and edgy murder mystery analog horror series of sorts. The thing is, I've seen a few videos show up talking about how people regard this as either the worst series or just something that is downright awful. And I won't lie, I didn't know what this was at first. I have seen some analog horrors. I know of bigger ones, I know of some smaller ones. And going into this, I had no idea what it was, obviously, like I said. So I wanted to see just why people hated this essentially. And before I even looked into other people's opinions, I looked into it myself and watched the entire series on my own in one sitting. So I took the time to document my thoughts first while watching the videos. So, like I said, this is a darker thing. It is a more brutal thing than most analog horror series. It is horror, essentially. But to go on to my thoughts, after the first video, I thought that it might just be an attempt at an edgy murder story or something that's just dark that features funny looking faces. And then after the second video, I still thought the same thing, that it could just be something that was trying to be dark, and at first I just kind of thought people didn't like it because it wasn't the standard trend of analog horror, right? Some sort of supernatural or paranormal entity that's messing with people or its location. I thought people were hating on it just because of that it was something that wasn't essentially formulaic. And I was wrong. Like, hella wrong. I was just wondering, after the second video, I called it episode, sorry, after the second video, I was just wondering if it gets worse. And yeah, immediately it gets worse. The third video is overly descriptive with the murders. Like, there's just no way around this. A kid has his penis ripped off, like by getting it pulled off. Then they also show a picture of what looks like The Grudge. Fuck you, whoever made that decision. I hate that movie. It is why I cannot handle horror properly. By the fourth and fifth video, I realized that this is a very sadistic villain that's being showcased here. And I had realized, once again, that this is a murder mystery that's just fucking gruesome. And then lastly, by the final three videos, I had come to the conclusion that yes, this is an edgy and gruesome horror story. So I was right about it at first. And see, I say edgy because of the killer's routine of leaving behind paintings. And these paintings have titles, some of which include Pocket Pussy, Breeding Mount May, and most hated, I guess, Fuck Toy Corey. Like, why? Why? What the fuck? You know you can choose to name your things, right? It's not some sort of default name. You can also choose not to name it this. Just a fun fact, I didn't know if you guys knew that. I think what is kind of funny though is that I could see people in the comments making fun of these titles and paintings. Like, I just thought, thank God I wasn't the only one that thought this was goofy as fuck. Overall, there's some awfully weird shit in the story that's just absolutely foul. Like, one of the victims had 40, not even 40, 487 stab wounds, I believe. I believe that is the actual number. And some of these stab wounds had semen in them. Like, look, I've put my dick in a lot of things, but not a stab wound. And then that also just brings in a lot of issues that people just have with this story, and then that's just getting to my point as well. This series comes off as something that's edgy and gruesome, just for the sake of being edgy and gruesome. At first, I didn't really want to knock on this, since I just am not really into murders and serial killers, and even gore for the most part, for that matter. I just didn't think this was for me, but I don't know. I still kept wondering, why do people hate this so much? After watching the entire thing, I hadn't thought critically yet, so yeah, I wanted to see what other people said. Obviously, my own thoughts about this at first was that it was just something to make you feel uneasy, just for the sake of making you feel uneasy. There's a lot within this series that's seen as tasteless, mostly the exaggerated brutality of the murders, and let me just list some of these murders to you. A 2-month-old baby was hung by a noose, and the statement within the video is seen as poorly worded. Going back to the fuck toy Corey image, Corey was an 11-year-old boy, and this is the issue that everyone has had with this. That's not even really where it stops, that's just kind of where it starts. Corey had a twin sister named Margaret. She had a brick shoved down her throat, and the brick said meat on it. Don't know why that was included, but that's the thing that actually happened. That's not even where it ends for these two, though. They were cut in half, and Margaret's top half and Corey's bottom half were sewn together, and the other halves that weren't sewn together in the story have not been found yet. Then we can get on to some of the other ones. A man named Paul was shoved inside of a pig. Obviously, like I said before, semen was found in stab wounds. Then a couple who were pregnant. Well, the lady was pregnant. She had her fetus ripped out of her stomach. Then the fetus was shoved into the husband's mouth. The husband's mouth was then shown shut. And then I believe it is the same victim as the one with the semen and the stab wounds, but there were photos found inside of a victim's body. The descriptions for these have just been seen as fucking comical. And like I said, it's just being edgy for the sake of being edgy. The story has also been criticized for just being fucking bad. Now, is it actually bad? You can say so, because there's very little story, and there's also just very little videos, and there's very little time that is spent with these videos. I would say on average they are 5 minutes long. Some obviously go longer, some are obviously shorter, and there are only about 8 videos, and there's only so much you can do with an accumulated 40 minutes of time. However, what I do want to say positively about this is that, personally, I like that the story has elements of the story that are seen prior to actually being talked about. What I mean by this is that some of these paintings that are found, that are left behind by the killer, are actually victims that have not been found yet. I like that piece. I like that form of storytelling. I think that's pretty cool, actually. So I'll give it that. Out of all the bullshit, I'll give it that. And that the art is very good. It is highly good. I know the creator made this himself. I know he's made I believe it's a he. I know he's made the music and the art all himself. So, good job. The story, however, is still very limited, with only one character really being known, that being one of the killers, and as of the last video that has been uploaded at this period of time, it shows that there are 2 killers, 2 different killers. However, there's only a vague appearance for one of them the entire time, so I can see why lots of videos had came out and had an issue with what the killer was being presented like. However, I just have the luck of having had another video that showcases them. So, yeah. Another small issue that people have had with this story is that there is no established time frame, so you can essentially put this in a wide range of time periods and it won't really change anything. Although something I've realized that the location of the story might be Louisiana. There's a phone number with the area code 985, and this actual area code takes you to Louisiana, so it might take place in there. The story has been seen as lacking of sorts, and as for the videos themselves, they have been seen as either bad, lazy, or uncreative with its presentation. What I mean by this is that these are videotapes that are being shown to us. They are in-universe tapes. However, there's no real indication of who got these or how they got these, which I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing if you don't know who has these. I think the issue is just how they got them, although it doesn't really hurt to know who has these videos. From a viewer perspective, it's just a black screen with unnerving pictures and music with only one video featuring voice acting, and the very last one featuring an actual animation. It's come off as lazy and shouldn't be considered analog horror because it uses nothing of what is supposed to be used, or at least what is traditionally used. Also, every video is very formulaic, starting with a content warning, then text revealing a victim, then text describing brutal murder scene, then painting of the victim being revealed, then creepy face drawing. Like, I literally just described about 7 out of the 8 videos he's made so far. Now for the creator. People have some words for your fella over here. First and foremost, it's the fuck toy Corey thing. Yeah, that image is being sold for money. Reminder that Corey was 11. Personally, I have two issues with this. One, the drawing was made prior to the series, which makes the effort put into the series fucking minimal. The second thing, the drawing is now being used for this specific story element. The image has been given an awful context. That shit is fucking horrendous. Why would you do that? And then, why would you sell that? UrbanSpook or Urban Slug, I'm gonna just call him UrbanSpook because that's the channel name. UrbanSpook has came out and said that the original image is different. He made this image for something else, and he just kind of altered it to put it into the channel, into the video, and it's just awful. You used this image to depict a child being assaulted, and then you sold it for personal gain. Brother, that's low. I'm low, but I'm not that low. There's also a very popular tweet about him that, it shows how he's responded to criticism. And it's just kind of funny because he's mainly going to be remembered for that tweet. And it's just kind of funny that I'm bringing up Twitter. Now I just have some final thoughts that I want to give on this entire series. The first being that I was right about it the whole time. It's just something that's edgy and gruesome for the sake of it, rather than actually earning it and deserving it. The other thing is that I actually think that there's a good basis for the analog horror series here. It's not the traditional supernatural paranormal entity that's just messing around with people. It's not that. It's something realistic. Like, we know kids die. They get, assaulted. People die in gruesome ways. That's not what people are upset about. They're just upset about its presentation. This type of story is very different for this side of the internet, it seems. It's very good that you're trying something that's different and more realistic, I guess you could say. It adds to the horror element, but you're just not doing it right. I guess that's the issue. I truly think, and this might be weird, I truly think he can save his own series. Yeah, he fucked up with the Corey thing. He has to accept it. He has to. And he can just move on from it. He can make it something better. And obviously, I have the fortune of having seen at least one or two more videos than most channels that have talked about this series have. So I can say that he is improving. He is adding more to it. However, he needs to improve just a little more. Obviously, it feels weird given that I've never done that kind of stuff on my own, nor is this stuff even for me in the first place. It's just, you can tell when something needs a little bit of a push or even help. That's just really it. I can see it's very obvious why people hate it. I can see it immediately, and I think most people can. However, if you want to have some sort of actual opinion on it, you should probably look at it yourself. Right? Don't just take the word of multiple YouTubers talking about how this is bad or how this is one of the worst series out there. Because for now, in terms of the popular scope, it probably is, but there's probably something out there that's probably worse, or gonna be worse. At the very least, we can say that he tried something different, which is good, but he did it in such a different way that he probably shouldn't have done that. But once again, there's a good premise here that can be saved, so it's not 1,000% horrible. Yeah, it's pretty fucking bad. Anyways, that's it. I've seen people talk about it. I just kind of wanted to give my own thoughts because I thought it was interesting, and I did not have a video for right now. So yeah, there you go. Anyways, thank you for watching. What I'm wearing is fucking hot, so I'm gonna go take it off. Bye.